Alright, are we recording? Jesus, this light, check this out. This one, it's a special tiny light. It's called Loop Cube. There's like 5 levels of brightness. Check this out. Each time you press it, it becomes brighter and brighter. Yeah, I just want something here because it's getting dark. Anyway, time for a quick update. Jesus. Time for a quick update. So, I'm in Medicine Hat. So today's Thursday. Here's what I did today. Alberta is totally crazy. People are nuts. They work 24/7. That's one thing I learned. A guy next to me with a D8 dozer dropped everything, right? Just took the truck only, left the Jeep, the Stinger, whatever. And it was a bit chilly by morning, and I hear the sound of a truck, and I look at the clock, and it says 4:30 in the morning. The guy backs to a Jeep, hooks up everything, and drives into the distance. And of course it's dark, right? And then I found out that, yeah, in Alberta, they don't care. But you are supposed to have lights on extreme points of the load, but I didn't see anybody use that. I just see people have flashing lights on the roof, flashing lights on the trailer, and then they turn on all the lights. Of course, you know, all your clearance lights. It looks like, you know, Alberta is a cool thing to do a heavy haul. Like, they're pretty liberal. And so this guy, after this guy, I couldn't sleep. I checked the nearby Starbucks, 3 kilometers, 2 miles, and I figured, okay, might as well see if they have Uber in Calgary. Go to my Uber app, 6 o'clock. Connecting you to one nearby driver. 6 o'clock, there's people already in Uber. The guy shows up. I said Starbucks, Aviation Road or Aviation Street, because that area where I was loading, it was all near the airport, Calgary airport. And the guy takes me there, so I settle down, hook up my computer, because my goal number 1 for today was get at least the Alberta permit. But not just get it, but I have to get registered, because I never did it myself. I think a couple of times I did it with either Saskatchewan or Manitoba, because you have to do it on the border and they don't care if you're a carrier or a driver. I think I did it once over there, but I don't remember Alberta. And I found the website, and I forgot what it's called, but like a special, they have a special dedicated website for online permits. And then you have to fill out a request. And the truck, I left the truck right outside of the gate at the cat. I thought they would start screaming at me, but that guy left, so there was a pretty wide driveway to get in, you know, like the gate was pretty wide. And I figured if they need me to move, they'll call the number, right? Because now I have my phone number on the side of the truck. So I started filling out that application, which is not for a permit application, but just an application to get access to the online self-issue permit system. And the first thing that, like, it's a good thing that I was having coffee, because otherwise it says enter your MVID, and then there's a question mark. You click on that, like, what the heck is MVID? And it's marked with an asterisk, like important. If you don't put it in, you cannot go past that screen. Or it's your 9-digit number on your Alberta driver's license. Okay, what if I don't have an Alberta driver's license? What if I have Ontario driver's license, or I don't know, Louisiana, whatever, right? No explanation, nothing. Just says this is your 9-digit number. Basically, motor vehicle identification number. I tried my CVR, you know, like my safety number from Ontario, kind of like MC number, or like US dot, and we have Ontario, it's called CVR, right? So, because that one is also 9 digits. I tried that one, click next, not accepted, wrong number. Okay, you have to call the office to get access. I look at the clock on my phone. It's 6:55, and this again continues the topic of people being crazy and working 24/7. So 6:55 in the morning, and I check on the website just to see what are the hours for the office, because I figured, Jesus, it should be like 8 or 9, and it was already 5 to 7, right? There's nothing on the website about the hours, and so I call the number, just totally expecting, like a voice message. I just wanted to get a sense of what their hours are, and I don't think I tried it like that yet. So let's try this. We're gonna set some fashion standards with trooper hats. And 6:55, and the message says our office hours are from 7 a.m. to something. 7 a.m. I couldn't believe it, so I hang up and waited till 7, and at 7:01 I dialed the number, and a lady answers. Mandy, Alberta Department of Transportation or something, or Ministry of Transportation, permit office. And we started chatting. I said, I need this MVID number. I'm from Ontario. I don't have Alberta's license. So she asked me a couple of questions: my birth date, my truck plate number, and then I hear some clicking, and I guess she's creating a profile. And then she says, "Here's your number." And I said, "Okay, so now I can continue the registration." She says, "Yeah." And so I do that, and 5-10 minutes later I receive nothing. So I find the email address. So I email this office that I just talked to, and I say, "Hey, can you confirm that you received my application?" And I get a reply saying that the people that approved the application show up at 8:15 or 8 o'clock in the morning. They will process your application at that time, and the signature says Mandy. So it's the same girl I talked to on the phone. Anyway, 8:15, 8:20 or something, I get an email. Here's a temporary password. Bingo. So I have the username, temporary password. I log in, change my password, and that's it. I have access to the permit service directly with Alberta Ministry of Transportation. So no fees. You just buy the permits, right? And this was my New Year resolution. Once I start doing this multi-axle stuff, I want to learn as much as possible about this. I don't want to be delayed sitting for 2-3 days when I don't have to, waiting for permits, right? But it took a while because, each system is different, each state. I'm just learning this stuff. I don't think I ever did it online directly myself, so I had to call them 4 or 5 times, Each time I would hit a roadblock, the phone number is right there. I call them, and somebody answers, and I ask them a question. Hey, what do I do here? What do I do here? Like one stumbling block was enter your vehicle configuration code. So they have codes for when you have a Jeep, a Stinger, or you just a straight truck or whatever, right? And it says if you don't know, search. Click search. I start searching. I have it's so bizarre. Like the description. Very difficult to understand when they say 8-wheel tandem. What the heck are they referring to? Because in Alberta, you often see trailers with what they call them. Basically, one axle would have 8 tires, And so here they say choose your configuration. Jeep. No, there was no Jeep. I said 8-wheel tandem. Anyway. I just gave up and called them, and they gave me. She says, "What do you do? Heavy haul. You have a Jeep, tandem Jeep, and single axle boost. Okay, here's your code. Is HH heavy haul, and then to do a couple of numbers. Boom. And then finally it says enter your origin, enter your destination. I had some trouble there because you have to use the map. The map doesn't work very fluently, but anyway, so I had to call them again. And while I had her on the phone, I said, okay, the route, do I have to enter the route? She says, no, click this and it'll give you automatic routing, and then you can review it. If you like it, accept it. I said, can you please stay on the phone? I don't want to call you guys again. So I clicked the button, boom, right away the system calculated the route, and I was just Alberta, right? So I said, I'm going to the east exit from Alberta into Saskatchewan on Highway 1. It was about like 350 kilometers, 200 something miles. And yeah, it just showed me I go around on this Deer Food Trail and then Highway 1 east all the way to and they had a special code for the border. That's one thing that kind of like stopped me, because like I don't have an address, right? I just want to go to Alberta, Saskatchewan, not Manitoba, but Alberta, Saskatchewan line, right? And it says enter the code for your address or something. And so I called them and they said, yep, here's the code. It's like AB/SK1, which means that you leave Alberta and enter Saskatchewan on Highway 1, which is Trans-Canada Highway. And that's it. And then it says basically review everything. And of course, you review your weights, your spacings, all that good stuff. And then enter your visa. This send you to a secure website. And as soon as you pay, I paid, and like I think 10 minutes later, I got the email with the permit. The permit was emailed to me, So it took me probably, including the setting up, right, and then learning the system, it took me maybe a couple of hours. But next time I don't have to set up. I already have a user account, so it'll be much faster, maybe, I don't know, half an hour. You see, and there's nobody in front of me, like when you deal with permit service companies, you have no idea how many people they're working on before you, other truckers, other carriers. Here I don't have to wait, because online services are 24/7, And so this was my first success of the day, but then things kind of like turned a little bit dramatic, because my phone rang and I see the area code, it says Calgary, Alberta. And I'm like, shoot, I know it's the Caterpillar calling, because I don't know anybody in Calgary. And I thought it was the Caterpillar calling me to ask what the heck, how long are you going to be here outside the gate, right, blocking our entrance. And no, it's not Caterpillar. Some guy says, hey Sergey, I'm your big fan, we're here near your truck, are you coming over? And he says, I'm here with my nephew, like there's a bunch of people there, and they said, we see you not in your truck, but we just called you a phone number on the door. And that's my experience with phone numbers on the truck, right? Well, in this case it was nice, right? But I remember when I had the phone number on my when I was a company driver. If somebody calls that number, it's to complain to your safety department. They don't like how you parked or something. I'll be super happy when finally somebody uses my phone number to hire me to move a load. But it was interesting meeting all these guys. I said we should probably start a little club, like Calgary chapter of Captain Sergey's club. And they picked me up at Starbucks, brought me back to the truck. I showed them the truck, the load. They helped me measure. Oh, that was because I started the Saskatchewan permit. And that one I said, how do I get online access? And Saskatchewan permit office saying, no, you have to do it over the phone. Very difficult to work with, Huge difference between Saskatchewan and Alberta. They kept asking me about really puzzling questions like, what's the distance between the kingpin of your trailer and your deck? Well, what do you guys think the deck means, right? What is the deck? The deck is where my load is, right? And so I this was before the Calgary guys called me, just to give you a little background. And so I asked her, like, okay, deck, I understand what the deck is, right? So you want the kingpin, but I never had anyone before ask me for the distance from the kingpin to the deck. That's like totally stupid, like what's the point? And I said, by the way, which kingpin? I have two necks. I have the standard neck, 101 inch, and then I have the extended one, right? So I said, if you want the distance from the kingpin to the front of the deck where my load is, that's 101 plus 83, 184. It's pretty much that, 184 inches. And she says, oh, that's awfully long. And I'm like, holy mackerel, like, what do you mean awfully long? I told you that my configuration is a regular truck with 3 axles, right? The pusher doesn't count because it's up. And then tandem Jeep and a single axle booster. I said, if I don't have an awfully long neck, how am I supposed to connect to the Jeep? Like, you know the Jeep, right? You know what the Jeep is? But of course I wasn't talking to them like that, but I said, you see trucks with Jeeps, right? That's like the most typical configuration here in Western Canada. Jeep booster truck, right? Yeah, but it looks very long. And that's where these guys called me, and so I had to go back to the trailer anyway, and these guys helped me measure. So we were measuring the kingpin to the deck. Then they wanted to see kingpin to the middle of the middle axle on the trailer, and then middle axle to the end of the trailer. They were not interested in the booster. So kingpin to the front of the deck, then kingpin like, and then I call them, and she says, well, I said, why are you asking for this? I'm just curious. Normally people ask for axle spacings, right? And she says, well, these 3 numbers, and then we add them so we know the overall length of your trailer. And I'm already totally like blacking out. So imagine, right? Kingpin to the front of the deck, then kingpin overlapping that to axle 2, and then axle 2 to the rear. And I said, if you add these 3 numbers, that's not gonna give you the overall length of the trailer, because I'm like losing my patience, you know. And finally, after like freaking hour on the phone, we figure out that what they mean by the deck, she means not the deck where my load is, but she means the front of the trailer. So basically she was interested in kingpin setting, right? So like how far the kingpin is from the front of the trailer. Unbelievable, I'm telling you. It's like we're talking some, you know, Pakistani language or something, you know. So that's why she was saying that they want to know the overall length of the trailer. Of course, they take the front of the trailer to kingpin, then kingpin to axle 2, and then axle 2 to the rear. Of course, that will be the overall dimension. So finally, after like 1 hour on the phone with the Saskatchewan geniuses, we figured it out, and then I had all my axle spacings ready. She asked me all that, and I gave her immediate conversion into metric, because I did all this before. And right on the phone, she takes my visa and gives me a number, permit number. And I said, so I don't need the actual permit, right? She says, we're gonna send you a copy, but if you're stopped for inspection, or if a cop stops you, just tell them this number, and they'll be able to look it up on the computer. So it's not required either in Alberta or Saskatchewan to carry the permit, as long as you know that permit number, you know. So I didn't even print anything out, because on my printer, that's one thing I've been trying to buy for the past week. I need to find staples somewhere. I need to buy my black ink cartridge for the printer, because it's already printing like 50% of the lines, you know. And so that's what happened. And so I got my Saskatchewan permit, I got my Alberta permit, and these guys were sitting in the car waiting for me to leave. I guess they wanted to film how I'm moving. And then I programmed the first stop was a Flying J, 2 hours east of Calgary. Something starts with B, I forgot, but it's like, I talked to this buddy Ray, and I said, do you know which truck stop you have enough room, you know, for a 9-axle rig, because I don't want to go into something small, right, and get stuck in there. And he says, this one at this town. And I said, anything further east, because that was only 2 hours, right? So it's still pretty far to Saskatchewan line. But he didn't say anything. But so I stopped there. I took a bunch of photos. I'm gonna show them at the end of this. And also there, I found I had an issue, because when I parked the truck at the Caterpillar, I did not notice in the dark that Jeep, one axle on the Jeep went on the little shoulder, and so this side axle was actually in the air. You know, I only saw that when it was light. And when I started driving, and then I stopped at this Flying J, I look at the bag, and the bag is like kind of like not full, but it's like this, you know, like if this is the bag, the airbag Like the front is kind of like there's like a line, like a wrinkle, and the top of the bag moved down. So basically, I know what happened is if the axle was in the air, that means that the airbag extended, right? And I made all the chains loose, so nothing was stopping the axle from going all the way. And then I started going forward, right? And so that forward movement pushed the airbag kind of like back, and I'm like, holy, what do I do now? Like it's like a sock, but you cannot just pull it up, right? There's a lot of pressure in there. And I didn't fix it over there, and I was driving thinking about this. No, wait a second, I fixed it there. I noticed this. I noticed this when I stopped first time to check my load, about 50 kilometers, 30 miles east of Calgary. I stopped in there was like a rest area, like a turnaround. I stopped there. That's when I saw this. And so when I was at the Flying J, and I was driving and thinking towards this Flying J, like, how can I do it? Shall I drain it? I tried draining it. It didn't help. When it goes back, it still has that crisp, like line, and like it looks like the bag is just sideways. Like I never saw something like this before. And when I was at the Flying J, what I did, I took one strap, and I wrapped a strap around the bag, and I hooked it up to the front of the Jeep. You wouldn't believe it. And I started tightening the strap, trying to push the back of the bag towards the truck, because that wrinkle was on the front, And I was tightening and checking, and then finally I heard a pop, boom, and the strap became a bit loose. I tightened more, went back, bingo, the airbag corrected itself, and now the top was equally pressed against that plate. Whereas before it was like this, like towards the truck, it was below that plate. It was like I thought I would lose that bag, And so that was one interesting thing that happened. And then and then I thought I bought some food, I bought water, and I thought I would just sleep at the border. There's a rest area, like at the Alberta Saskatchewan line. There's a couple of big rest areas, but like no washrooms, nothing, just a big parking, for trucks. And I don't want to drive in the dark because I don't have those lights that I have them, but they don't work. They always go out after like 5-10 minutes. And then I was passing this Medicine, what is this, Medicine Hat, right? And I remember there's a couple of truck stops in here, and so I saw this one was on the right, this Esso, Key to the Highway stop, and there's actually even a restaurant in there. And I was able to go around other trucks and just pull forward, even though technically I can back, but that's like, you have to put those blocking arms down, you have to drain the air, and of course then the Jeep will be going like this, so it's not easy. So of course it's best to just drive forward, and I'm almost straight, and from here I'm about 60 kilometers or 40 miles west of the Saskatchewan line. And I checked my Saskatchewan permit to see how long is it valid, and it says it's valid until 25th of January, which is cool. So that leaves me a lot of time. And so when I stopped, one thing I did here, I was noticing that I got the permit for 14 feet, but what I did not notice is that there's a light, like the flashing light on top of the roof. It seemed a bit taller, and I climbed on the roof here, and I look at the level. It is a bit taller, so I try to unscrew the base. It's like a metal base in there with big bolts, but those bolts were probably, they use power tools to connect them to the roof. I couldn't undo them, and then I saw that the actual light was connected with tiny screws and the little bolts, tiny bolts, and you can use a screwdriver. It was like just 3 tiny bolts. And I undid those, and I was able to unsnap the cable. I didn't even break it. There was a quick connector there. I unsnapped the cable, and I put it in the cab. So now I know I'm perfect, because yeah, you know, you don't want to break, you know, the guy just bought a truck, right? You don't want to break the light on top, you know, because over here it's okay, but Ontario, you know, once you go there in the 400 and stuff like that, Highway 11, they have some, you know, low bridges. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing tomorrow. Is I just need to get my I need to register for Manitoba. And this buddy Ray says in Manitoba you have to get a special permit when your truck is longer than 244 inches wheelbase. And he says you also need a permit if your front axle is bigger than something. And so we'll do that later, because it's pretty far from here to Manitoba line, you know. I'm probably not gonna make it tomorrow, but I'm gonna stop tomorrow somewhere like around lunchtime and do this. And that's it. And so yeah, so it's pretty far to Ontario, so I'm gonna go through Canada, and I'm 105 feet long, 32 meters, 11 feet 6 inches wide, and 14 tall overall. And everything looks good. So the machine, oh, we lost the light, guys. That's it. No warning, no nothing. You see, now it's completely dark. Sorry about that. Hold on, let me just turn on this. Oh, my phone. And so yeah, so 11.6 wide, 14 tall overall, 105 feet long. I don't need an escort anywhere, unless there's something in Manitoba, which I don't think, and nothing in Ontario. And I'm covered by my Ontario permit, because I have the enhanced permit, and my weight is about 150,000 pounds gross. And the permits were not too expensive. The Alberta was 125 bucks Canadian, and Saskatchewan was $245 Canadian. So a US would be 0.7 of that, you know, like 70%. So not too bad, you know. At least there's no escorts. So this is it. That's my update. So stay tuned. I hope the weather in Northern Ontario will not be as bad as last time I was going through there, because I'm going back through the same Dryden, you know, Hearst, Thunder Bay, all that good stuff. So we're gonna definitely do another video once I'm in Ontario. Okay, and here's the photos I took. So these were taken at that Flying J when I stopped to check my load and get some coffee. And for this one I used my Canon EOS R with 24 105 lens. Talk to you later.